XYZ, or how can we make a product that, or how can we make a solution that eases the life of amputees, for instance. So keep the context and work from that context. Then he moves to the next point of rules. He says it has to be as playful as possible. So the idea is to come up with as many brainstormed ideas as possible. The quantity matters. Try to be as playful as possible. Don't judge one another. Come up with wild ideas. Encourage out of the box thinking. If somebody says something obnoxiously wild, something absolutely out of the box, please do not discourage him. Allow him to say things as crazy, as childish as possible. If you start to circumvent right at the outset of brainstorming, you will kill the spirit of brainstorming. So encourage as many crazy ideas as possible and remain as visual as possible. Try to put on post-it notes and try to have simple prototypes, Lego form or something to explain an idea. Then he says, try to number all ideas. When you're numbering during a brainstorming session, it does two things. Number one, it motivates people to have as many ideas as possible. They'd probably say that we want to have 100 ideas. That way you can count the 100 ideas and see where you are. And number two, once you have ideas numbered, you can jump back and forth from one idea to another idea afterwards once you're trying to consolidate all the ideas that you've received. Number 5, he says the space in which brainstorming is taking place, it has a memory of itself. So try to use that space as positively as possible, because the space starts talking. So throughout the whole room you can put on posters of the brainstorms you're doing. You can have walls on which you can be writing the mind maps. You can be putting on post-it notes. You can be using big colorful markers to make the whole room resonate with the energy of the brainstorm as it's happening, because the space starts to affect the brainstorm process as well. Then he moves to learning where to build on an idea and where to jump from one idea to another idea. So watch for the energy of the group. If the energy of the group is dipping, you might want to jump from the existing idea to the next idea. Usually what happens is that most teams start off with X level of energy, and that energy throughout the brainstorm goes up. Then it starts to plateau after some time. So you have to see when the energy is going up, you let it go up. When it starts to plateau, you try to find a way to make a jump from the existing idea to another idea, and you say, okay, you know, this doesn't work, or okay, that's a good idea, let's move and try to see if we can add something else to this idea. How do we find another idea that could perhaps make this idea more exciting? So that's called jumping from one idea to another idea. If you have an interesting idea, try to stick with it and build on that idea. So he calls that building and jumping. Know when to build and when to jump from one idea to another. The other thing about brainstorming is try to see the kind of group you're in. If the group has not had orientation for brainstorming, do a warm-up brainstorming about another idea so that they get used to the rules of brainstorming, how to keep it fun, how to use post-its, how to add numbers, all of these rules. How do you do these rules? How do you practice these rules? Try to put these rules as in the initial orientation or stretch brainstorm that you can perform before the actual brainstorm. This also has a detachment effect on the real brainstorm that you want to work on, because sometimes people are so worked up about a particular problem that once you put them on a tangent, they might find some solutions in this brainstorm for another brainstorm. And try to keep it as physical as possible. Sketch as much, doodle whatever you can doodle. try to keep some material like foams, tubing,